I really don't know why I carried this indoors. But luckily, it's not that heavy. It weighs just some kilos, actually. I think this is maybe the world's smallest and most lightweight TIG welder. I bought this machine from a Norwegian company called ToolFarm. You can see the logo right there. Catchy name, by the way, ToolFarm. And this TIG welder is called the 200E AC/DC Puls. And the brand name for the machine is Magma. A catchy name, that as well. So, time to see what's inside. User manual, welcome letter, and a quick start guide. I opted for the pedal. Here is the torch, hose for the gas, ground clamp. Oh, and look at that! Electrodes. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 of them. That's a bonus. And then it's a machine. It's so lightweight. It was fantastic. Can this really work? And it's small. And that is very handy, because my garage is not too big. It is somewhat spacious, but I don't have room for big equipment here. That cable was quite beefy. So the name 200 is supposed to be because it's 200 amperage. It's 230 volts here in Norway. And this machine, to my knowledge, is only sold in Norway. So this is mostly a review for my Norwegian audience. Maybe if you're from Scandinavia, you can check out ToolFarm. Maybe they can ship to other countries. I'll put a link in the description to their website, and if I get some correction that they maybe sell to other countries as well, I'll let you know. But look at this cute, tiny little machine. And it is, of course, completely digital. This model is brand new, and it's ToolFarm's own brand. Okay, let me just follow the quick start guide, hook up the argon gas and get some power to it and test it out. This is my welding area. I've prepared a bottle of argon gas there. But I have to say, I'm not experienced when it comes to TIG welding. So this is absolutely not a TIG welding tutorial. First, let me connect the hose to the gas. It is pretty tight. I think I'll just try to heat up the end to make it soft and see if that is good enough. Is it good enough without a clamp? Well, only one way to find out. No leaks, but I think I'll find some small clamps later to secure this. The next step is then to connect the cables. The ground cable goes to positive. Yeah, I know, it doesn't make sense, but that's the way it is. And this is a really simple setup. The torch main power goes to ground. The gas cable in the middle, and I will just use the switch on the torch now, not the pedal. So it's just to connect the plug, and it goes only one way. Impossible to do this wrong. Very easy setup, and a very good manual explaining it all. And this is how the torch looks like. TIG 17 is the number here. I notice it has a ball joint here at the end, making it a bit flexible. That is fine. This tip is not flexible. Typical torch you get with this kind of welders. Plenty long and very flexible as well. This kit was also included, also very typical. And what you find here is different cup sizes. I will try the middle one, 5. I will use this for clamping it all together. This is the nozzle. And it has two tip size, 2.4 and 1.6. I need the small one, and even 2 more electrodes. I will not be using them. I have already sharpened one I had bought previously. Let's see if we could put this together, putting in the nozzle first. Not very hard, but just giving it a small nudge to make it stick there. So I will be welding a 2mm sheet metal just for a test. Then I put the electrode through this holster and find the stick out I want. Like almost a centimeter, I think. Should be the right one. Like this. Does it look decent? And then it's time to power it on and follow the quick guide for setting up the parameters. And it's gonna be a bit loud now when I turn it on because of the fan. So there are really just 4 buttons here. The first one is type of welding. MMA is stick welding, the other 2 is TIG welding. And HF is the one I'm gonna use because that is high frequency and you use the button on the torch to start it. AC/DC, that stands for the type of current you are using when welding, and just remember AC is for aluminium, DC is for anything else. 2T and 4T is the trigger type. 2T is the easy one, you just press and hold the button to weld. 4T is another method where you press once to start welding and you press the second time to end the welding. And then it's this last button you press to select different type of parameters. And it's so visual and easy to understand by following the light bulb here to indicate what kind of parameter you are changing. And you just turn the knob to change the setting. So let me now set up my welding. High frequency, DC for typical mild steel or carbon steel welding. And I just use 2T now, the simplest way of welding. The first setting is the pre-gas flow. I'll try half a second gas before I start. So that is how long the gas is going to pour out before you start to weld. And since I'm doing a really simple weld here now, I'll skip most of the settings. I will now try to weld setting on 50 amps to see how that goes. The last setting is the post-gas flow. So that is how long the gas is going to pour out after you're finished with the weld. The gas is set to 7 liters per minute. The 2mm mild steel, carbon steel, is ready for the test. Starting with the 50 amps, and then I will crank it up more. Just making small puddles first, then try testing out some filler rod. Just doing some tests now. And remember, I'm a beginner. This is not a tutorial on how to weld. Just to see how the machine works. Ready? When doing TIG welding, the small spot of floating metal just under the electrode where the arc meets the metal is what is called the puddle. This is normally the starting point for the weld, where you can dip the filler rod to add metal into the weld. I'm just making the puddles here to get a feeling of the time it takes, and I'm increasing with 10 amps for each test to get a feeling of the power from the machine. The last 2 ones is at 100 and 120 amps, and I can see that's just too hot for this 2mm sheet metal. Then I'm making a weld seam just on top of the sheet metal using a 2mm filler rod, and that is actually bigger than recommended, but it's the only one I have. The electrode is 1.6mm and the filler rod should be the same or thinner. On the first 2 welds I'm using 60 amps, adding a lot more filler rod to the second weld to test making a more beefy weld seam. Then I increase to 70 amps for the next welds. Can you hear some kind of sparkling noise sometimes? And perhaps you also can see some kind of boiling happening around the weld area? I think I have some kind of contaminant on my metal. I did not have any acetone for cleaning the metal pieces, so I used what we call red spirit here in Norway. It's some kind of isopropanol, but it has some additives to give it a red color and a bad smell and taste. So I suspect it leaves some kind of residue after it evaporates, and maybe that is what ruins my weld, because I could be wrong, and perhaps I'm doing something else wrong here, but please let me know if you have any idea on how to solve this, because the welds doesn't get as shiny and glossy as I want to. You can see they have this kind of ugly structure on the surface. It was not too easy to see this when I did the weld, but I could see it afterhand, and looking at the footage now, I can see it very well. By the way, on the last few welds, I turned down the power first to 65, then 62, and then to 55, and I could really feel that was too cold. The final test was back to 60 amps, and that worked much better. And it was so nice to be able to adjust the parameters on the welder along with the testing to get a feel on how much impact the changes did. And here is the result. And by the way, this was actually my second test. This is the first one, and it's a piece of art if you ask me. Well, to the left here you can see the puddles going from 50 to 120 amps. And looking at the underside, almost all of them burnt through the 2mm sheet metal. That applies for most of the welds, and it looks a bit excessive. Welding on sheet metal isn't the easiest thing to get pretty. I really need to put in more practice, and that applies to all of my welds here. I don't know how much positive to say about this. I guess the most positive here is that it can only get better from this. So my verdict, the machine is great. The welder, not so much. I need really to practice. This is my first time ever really trying TIG welding. But yeah. Everything with this machine is exactly as what I hoped for. Easy to use with this digital display. Small, compact, powerful. Even the color matches up with my other tools. What more is there to wish for? And I haven't even tried the pedal yet. And the AC, welding aluminium, I'm looking forward to trying that. That's even harder. Stainless steel, the same. It's a bit harder than carbon steel. I think I really can develop my skills as a TIG welder with this machine. Please let me know if you want me to check something specific with this machine, and check the description for more information. You will be seeing this machine a lot in upcoming videos, and as I learn, hopefully, to become a better TIG welder, I will also test out more of the features. And yeah, if you want me to do a more thorough tutorial on setup, using it, please let me know, but give me some time to practice first. Hope to see you again later. Bye bye.